I'm making this video on what's going on out there in Los Angeles right now, and pretty much what's been going on in this country for at least 30 years. Um, yeah, 30 years. In 1993, I was 30 years old, so that puts me at 62 now. And I remember back in the day when the Rodney King thing went on. Reginald Denny from the riots was beaten and dragged out of his truck. Um, and then all the other stuff that went on, bombings and all this other stuff. So this country has gone through lots of issues over the last, at least since I've been alive, because even back in the 60s they had all kinds of stuff going on. But regardless, the problem I see is that unfortunately life is not easy, and we're all responsible for ourselves. And I learned that early on as a Marine when I went in the Marine Corps at 17. Was to be responsible for my own self, my own life, my own actions, and my own finances. And so I put that, to use. And as long as I was physically capable, I used that ethic to go through the Marines and make it through the Navy as well, and also to move on and go through electrical school in my 30s. But you have a lot of people that think that just because they're here, that entitles them to a good life, which is anything but the truth. Nothing is guaranteed to you. And there is assistance out there, but you have to go through the proper channels. So I think what's happening now, especially in LA, is that people are being called out. They're saying, you need to be responsible for your life. And if you come into this country illegally, that's not being responsible. And the problem is that there are a lot of people, Americans, that have to rely on certain services. It could be Social Security, it could be SSI, it could be AFDC, it could be the SNAP program, whatever it is. If you're an American, then you can qualify for those programs. But and also to have an opportunity to get an education. But if you don't go through the process and do things legally, then you really have no reason to complain. And I think what's happening is a lot of people are offended by this whole thing that's going on with the ICE taking people out of the country because they're not here legally. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm not I believe that everybody should have a chance, opportunity, and I know I have friends that are in this country. I don't know if they're legal. I don't know if they're illegal. I don't ask them because that's none of my business. That's part of being responsible for your own life. But I know that. In my case, I had to go through the proper channels and go into the Marines, and then also go through the Navy, and then also go through electrical school. But I had to do it myself. Nobody really, nobody took me by the hand. I had to actually show up and do what I had to do. But what I see now is it's kind of sad, especially for being a veteran, because I don't think a lot of people are really... a lot of people in this country really understand the sacrifice that a lot of veterans, not so much me because I was not in any wartime era, but they don't understand or even care to acknowledge what veterans actually did to make this country the way it was, the way the system is designed. The system is designed not to sit on the internet all day. I like to joke around and stuff, but I'm retired. But the system is designed to help people, to give everybody a fair shake. So if you're trying to buck the system, you're probably going to end up being screwed over. So I think that's kind of what's happening. Is a lot of people, you fly under the radar. A lot of people like keep it down low, so to speak. Don't create any waves. And I saw this back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, I happened to end up being in a place that was kind of like a halfway house. And the whole place where I lived was mostly illegal aliens, immigrants. And they were very nice people. I mean, I had no problem with them, but and a lot of them, even back then, were scared that they were going to get found out and that their kids would not be able to go to school and not be able to get a decent education. So, and as far as the origination of a lot of these immigrants is not so much only Mexico. Now it's Honduras, it's Guatemala. There's a lot of people that come over here, and they're coming here for a better life. But you have to understand, you have to respect the place that you're at, and not abuse what's being offered to you, and also to come here with the go through the proper channels to get citizenship. If you don't want citizenship, it's kind of a tough call because as an electrician, a lot of us worked around people that were illegals, and many of them basically would just work until they couldn't until the work dried up, and then they would leave. But before doing that, they would send a lot of their money back to their family in whatever country they were from. So it's been an ongoing situation. I don't think, unless things like what's happening now happen, it'll just keep going. And even if they do get rid of, send a lot of people back to their country, it doesn't mean that it's not going to, it's not going to keep happening, and they're going to come back here because it costs a lot of money to do these things, to process these people back to their other countries and to hold them for a while, and to hire all the border patrols and everything else. That costs a lot of money, and the money is coming from the taxpayers. So when prices go up, food prices go up, gas prices go up, little mom and pop stores start raising their prices. Even the big retails, a lot of that is like a trickle down effect from what's going on in the world, and that's kind of this is the way I see it, just from being 60-something years old and living for a long time, and it's a sad situation. Being a Marine Corps veteran, I feel a little, somewhat like jaded, I guess, a little bit, because, is this the country I served? Is this the country that I went in the Marine Corps and served those years in? Sure, for me there was a benefit, but there was also a sense of pride in what I did, and I think we've lost that individual pride in whatever we're doing. I think it's become more about status and maybe making a quick dollar versus taking the time to do things right and seeing the finished result. All right, that's all I got to say about that. I hope everything works out. Hope things will not escalate any more than they already have. I mean, LA is a pretty big place. There's a lot of going on. So, yeah. All right, thanks for watching. Stay safe.